So here we're going to go crack on with our first session here with our View from the Top panel. And we do have representatives here of some very big, not just British brands, but pan-European and beyond brands. So from left to right here we've got Neil Clarke, who's the MD of Franke, the new MD of Franke. How long have you been in that chair now?
6 months.
About six months?
Yeah.
We've got Raffaela de Vittorio, who has the best name of the, makes the rest of us sound really boring.
Thank you.
Who is the marketing director at Geberit / Twyford, and obviously that's been a big consolidation this year. We have Chris Honer here from Britannia, and also now the head of range cooking for GDHA. And we have Craig Rothwell here, who's the MD of 2020, and there's been lots of manoeuvrings at 2020 as well in the past 12 months or so. Now, what I want to start off with here really is, I think there's a lot of positivity going around. There's the general air seems to be of everyone's in a good mood, but is that really the case broadly speaking? What is the sort of state of the industry as you see it here today, March KBB show? Neil, we'll work our way down here. Neil, let's start with you.
All right. I think my view is that we're seeing growth at all levels of the market, to be honest. So I think that it doesn't matter where a retailer is sitting, that they're seeing growth at the moment. And I think we have 3 brands in the market, and I think with all 3 brands we're enjoying the success that the retailers are generating at the moment. So I think in terms of retail, particularly the independent retailers, our feeling is that it is good at the moment. I think there are other parts of the market that perhaps aren't performing so well. I think that construction has just slowed down a little bit, and I think there are some challenges there. But the expectation is that should pick up again. But I think from an independent retailer perspective, it's very positive.
Raffaela, what about you? Because obviously you have, with Geberit, you have an awful lot of construction contract type stuff as well. But obviously you with the Twyford Keramag type brands, you have retail too. So what do you think?
Yeah. I certainly echo the sentiment of Neil, what he's just said in terms of the retail market. Our traditional approach for retail, residential, industry and commercial projects is going really well. It is certainly the case that in the southeast we see a lot of housing developments that are very good for us in our line of business. However, we're seeing as well that government spending has slowed down in the last 12 months, so we see commercial projects reducing in that aspect in the public arena. What is certainly important for us is that following the acquisition of Sanitec and the integration of Twyford you've already touched on, that we have new markets that open up to us, and certainly the developer market, the residential market, is a new opportunity for us now that we have a much bigger portfolio that we can offer our customers.
So Chris, what about you? You're not really a contract kind of guy, are you, in terms of range cooking? So you're very much a retail focused group. What's your point of view?
We've, with the Britannia product, as you know, it's been very, very much focused around the independent retailer. What we did as a group last year was we integrated Britannia into the Glyndonplex brand operation, and we launched our range cooker division. And what we've done here is identified there's a great opportunity for us across all the price points now. I think traditionally at our entry-level brand point, it was predominantly done through supermarkets and some of the online traders and multiples. And I think with the strength of retail, certainly from our Britannia side, one of the things that we want to do, certainly at this show, is identify really that we're now being able to offer all price points right across for the independent retailer. So it's a really important show for us because, it's definitely, to echo again what Neil was just said, it's definitely an improving market. And we just want to, sort of monopolise it as much as we can.
I mean, Craig, are you seeing that with the number of new accounts or the number of training days or those kind of things that you do? Because you're very much you're the tool that allows a lot of these things to happen, aren't you?
Yeah, I think what we've seen is that we've seen dealers who are new dealers coming into the business, and I think that's a good sign. And they're coming in with a stronger... I've always been very keen on the education side of when they come into the business, because the first thing they would open a kitchen shop, they buy a computer and let's try and make this work. Whereas now they're coming in a lot more solid, and we've seen that, and they're investing in training, they're investing in products as well. They're making sure they buy the right products, and it's an all-round good scene really in terms of dealers, and the good dealers that we've had for many years are growing. So for us, if things are going the right way in that respect, and something we'll talk about later is the connection with the manufacturers. Something I was very strong on was connecting manufacturers to dealers, and that's growing. And that's a big thing.
So would you say that if during the recession years, which are over, thank God, a lot of fat was trimmed from the industry in terms of retail, and what's come back is a much more professional, straightforward, well-trained approach. Is that something you would see?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all about training, isn't it? It's making sure that we need to support the people that support us, and it's not just about nowadays selling something into a retailer and expecting them to go off and do it for us. It's all about the investment, and it's really key for us. Right from an inquiry onto the phone, into the way that we handle that call, into the way that we encourage you to understand our product. It's all about being that champion, and we'll drive that through.
Do you agree?
Definitely. We are, as a company, training is what we do. It is so important, whether it is the installer that we train, the retail designers in the showrooms as well. Above that, the service is obviously important, how we deal with inquiries, the way we place our products and develop our products. The quality has to be extremely high end, but also I would add to that the way we market these products as well, to support the retailer and to support their business and then create interest from the consumer market. So they do come into the showroom expecting high quality, but they also already request certain brands, which makes the life of the retailer easier.
I mean, you've been in this game a long time, Neil, but are you seeing... I hesitate to say that they weren't professional before, because they obviously were, but the corporate nature, I suppose, of the way retailers run themselves has improved. That's one of the benefits that came out of recession years. Would you think that?
I think what we see is that there's much more interest and focus on the product and on the commercial proposition, and I think you're right. I think during the recession a number of businesses have gone. Those that have survived are the ones who are, I guess, more focused. They know what their business is, what they're trying to achieve, and I guess that they're looking for support from brands to be able to maximise the return on their studio, on their business.
So let's move on a little bit. That's, if you like, that's everything that's good. You touched on a little bit about the construction contract market. I mean, that seems quite a mixed bag to me, actually, if I'm honest, because some people think that is the smaller builders in particular is a real focus for growth, but on the bigger contracts that you guys work on, you're saying that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big builders are still expecting to grow. So the likes of Barratt are expecting to grow, I think, about 5 or 6% this year. So there's no doubt that the demand is still there. I think the first couple of months of the year it's slowed down a little bit, but it will pick up again. I think what's interesting is the opportunity that the government is talking about 1 million new homes between now and 2020. To achieve that, the small builders really need to get back into the market. And I know that the government is trying to encourage them to do that through a number of schemes in terms of planning, land availability. A lot of these smaller builders are serviced by small kitchen companies, and I know of many businesses that have a retail side and also a contract side, and there's definitely opportunity there. There will be growth.
What we see, apart from the cuts in public spending, is really also the issue of skills shortage in the construction market, which is slowing things down. And again, this is where training really comes into its own, to really support these companies in bringing in new technologies, which they have to, which is what the market requests, but also ensuring that their workforce is able to install this technology to a high level and to a high quality.
I mean, Chris, in the appliance market, premium stuff seems to be doing quite well.
Yeah.
What about the entry level and the sort of mid market?
Well, if you look at it,
quite difficult.
If you look as a market and just leave the retail side alone for a sec, we've seen massive price deflation. It's been huge. I think it's probably been the most aggressive in 25 years. You just have to change your business model around that. And what we've done is we've tried to lock in a pretty decent channel strategy to enable us to compete against that. But ultimately, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to be cheaper than you. And where we're concentrating, it's got to be around the marketing, it's got to be around the added value, it's got to be around about the benefit of actually trading with us and showing that actually that the price element might not be that important, because it might be all about the fulfillment and it might be all about the product. And that's really where we're coming from. But it's a challenge, it's a challenging market.
What about you, Craig? What are the big challenges for you? Is it literally just trying to get people to adapt new technology, or what's the big challenge from your point of view?
No, I think people are embracing it, because I think the consumer's demanding it. You know, if we go back to the construction side of the business, the days of a wall with some doors on and some handles and a piece of worktop, and you try and imagine your kitchen, people now want to see technology driving that. In the way that they used to buy a car, they do buy a car, I should say, they want to buy a kitchen that way. They want to buy a bathroom that way. And if you look at the big builders today, they're looking at add-ons. So they're designing the home, and they're saying, how do we add on? Well, imagination's a little bit difficult. So using technology today, they can mix and match. And we've seen great demand from that side of the business. And it's certainly flying, the work we're doing with the building contractors.
I mean, and you provide quite a bit of stuff to the big multiples as well, don't you?
Yeah, very strong in that sector.
And they are adapting the technology for those very reasons as well, aren't they? They are up in their game that way.
Yeah, I think that you look at the numbers that embrace a design site, a design online website, or our new product, Ideal Spaces, is massive. People want to touch a tool, they want to play with the tool, and they're extremely educated. Before they come into the showroom, they're educated. And that's what we're doing. That's where we're getting the great benefits out of the tool. And, we're talking millions of people using it, not ones and twos. Everybody uses it, everybody touches it, and everybody uses it. The companies that we've worked with have been blown away with the success. What they thought would be a trickle has blown them away. To the first morning, the servers have gone ballistic. So it just shows that if you build it, people do use it.
Well, you've already won the Double Entendre of the Day award. There. I think we can safely say that. I want to talk a little bit about sort of retail and retailers, about how you see the relationship between the supplier and the retailer. We've touched on it a little bit, but I do think that has changed significantly in the last few years. Let's start with Neil on the end here, because there were issues with online coming out of the recession for Franke, and you've made a lot of effort to sort of get back in with retailers as well.
Yeah.
But how much do you feel you should or could involve yourself in their business? Because that seems to be, to me, what's changed the most. I
think part of the challenge for us is our business model is that we sell through third-party distributors, and they do a fantastic job for us, but it means that we're a little bit distant from the retailers themselves. We've had to work hard. We put in place this initiative, the More in Store initiative, which provides retailers with access to a lot of our assets. They can order point of sale directly from us, promotions, lots of direct interaction with retailers, and it's had a very positive response. We continue to sign people up to the scheme. So it's not us trying to take control of the relationship with the retailer. The relationship with the distributor is still very important commercially, but we recognise that we were a little bit distant, and we had to do something to address that. So they're asking for more. They want easier access to after sales. They want easier access to point of sale. They want product information, they want promotions, all of these things, and we had to find an efficient way of delivering that. And I think we've achieved it.
So I think that's one of the biggest changes, has been going from suppliers being box shifters, if you like, just delivering stuff to wherever it is you want it, to working in partnership with, so that you both win. I mean, Raffaela, for you're not just dealing with retailers, you're dealing with contractors, with plumbers, with all these guys. How close do you feel you're getting with them compared to in the past?
We've always operated a pull strategy alongside the push strategy, really. So we deal with distributors and merchants, and we carefully select them for the added value that they bring to our customers. But we also have, in terms of our pull strategy, close relationships with our retailers, with our install large contractors, with architects even. So we really accompany the specification process down to completion, to the installation point. And that really helps us more and more to understand how these different customers group tick and what is it they really need. And we're getting now to a point, particularly in retail, where we are starting to segment and dig deeper into the fabric of these particular groups. And it is very complex, and I'm not saying we know it all. There's still so much we have to learn. But I think we have a good package there where we deal, we support the retailer directly, but we also have close and strong relationships with the distributors, so the retailer benefits from it and ultimately the consumer.
Well, Chris, you've been on both sides of that fence with distribution, and you were there at BCG.
Yeah.
As the brands try to get closer to the retailer, in terms of the premier partner schemes or master partners, or everyone's got a variation of it. Is that a difficult relationship with the distributor anymore? That distance that's between the retailer and the supplier.
I think it can be. You need to choose your distribution partner wisely, and we have done. And I think there is, if you understand why the distributor is in the value chain, and the retailer understands that, that makes life a little bit easier. If you look from a Glendimplex perspective, we're a pretty big organisation. Can we run a multitude of credit limits to a multitude of individuals? No, we can't. Can we
Plenty of people
service?
tried in about
Well, I know.
2006, 2007, didn't they?
Yeah. Can we service them on as slickly as our distributor partners? No, we can't. So we have direct accounts, yes we do, and they're guys that invest in our brand, but also we work really, really closely with the distributor, because it's all, again, it goes back down to the service, doesn't it? From a credit limit to answering the phone efficiently to being able to train them to be able to deliver as quickly as somebody needs something. So
this seems, when retailers sign up with suppliers, there seems to be much more caveats to the thing now, and they're very positive from the consumer's perspective, whereas before it just seemed to be, can you sell X? Yes, I can, therefore you can have a display. Absolutely. Now it's lots of other the kind of things that you've listed as well.
Yeah.
When does that become telling the retailer what to do, though?
Well, we would never want to tell the retailer what to do.
Yeah.
It's down to that relationship, isn't it? It's down to trust and transparency. Everybody deals across a multitude of sectors now, and it's all about whether or not that retailer trusts you. If they trust you, they'll buy off you. If they don't trust you, then they'll go elsewhere.
So, Craig, you've been trying to join all these things up for years, haven't you? Trying to get everyone to talk to each other in the right way to help the entire industry along. What's your view of it? Are retailers and suppliers becoming more cosy or not?
Very much so. Manufacturers are investing strongly in the retailers. I think it's all about, you only get one chance now. And I think that both sides of the fence have seen that. You're going to lose a lot of money if you don't get it right. So it's all about the quality of the presentation, and that reflects in the manufacturing, that reflects in training, it reflects in the whole picture, the ordering. Everything's got to be slick because as margins get tighter. So it's made a massive difference to it. Yeah, there's a very strong relationship now working together. So it's been very good.
But one of the sticking points, as you've all had to deal with at some point, I'm sure, is the online argument. This has rumbled on for a long time, but Neil, let's get your perspective of where, without dropping you in it completely, of where you think the current status of it is. It's got better, but is it still a lot of room to improve? Because it's one of the aspects that our retailers are very vocal about when it comes to support from their suppliers, is why are you flogging stuff online then?
Yeah, certainly getting better. I think it's been well publicised that we've put in place selective distribution, and I think our concern was the number of people who were online and were basically just in it to make a fast buck. They had no interest in our brand. We obviously invest massively in the brand in terms of product development, in terms of marketing, and these so-called market-free riders were damaging the brand, and we've had to take some quite strong action to regulate that better. The online channel is there. It's very important. A lot of people like to buy products online. We know that. It's only going to grow, but it has to be done in a way that doesn't destroy our brand, our investment. I can only really talk for the Franke brand, where if you compare the situation now with maybe 3 or 4 years ago, there's been a massive transformation. It's not perfect by any means, but we're on a journey, I guess. And
but it's quite naive to think that you don't want things online, because it is 40% of the retail market or whatever it is. So it's a bit of a legal minefield, as has been discovered by some bathroom suppliers, to actually try and restrict sales online. So you're hamstrung. Both ends, aren't you?
And it's not about restricting, but it is about identifying people who are damaging, and within the law we have the right to take action there.
So, Raffaela, where do you think your company sits on this? Because obviously online bathroom suppliers are absolutely huge, if you're Victoria Plumb or whoever it is. How do you balance that against your bricks and mortar retailers?
It is difficult. I mean, certainly we know online is here and it's here to stay. There's an argument for trying to find a way of embracing the platform, and I guess as a manufacturer we do our utmost to inform our customers, the various customer groups that we deal with, including end consumers, online of our offering. But we always encourage and drive these people into the showrooms in the case of the consumer. Particularly the I Love Water campaign for shower toilets is a perfect example for that, because we do believe that the customer wanting to find information online, educate themselves, goes hand in hand with then going into the showroom and experiencing the products. And the more products become high-tech and the more they incorporate added value features, the more it is important that the end user goes into a showroom and feels and touches and tries the product. And this is where then obviously the retailer comes into their own, because with the right experience and the right positioning, they can really own that aspect of giving the consumer that experience.
The issue with that is, though, which is still the bit that no one's really solved, is that they could then go and find it cheaper online after having done all that. But that is the legalities of that, and if Masco can't sort it out, then who can with the kind of money they've got? I mean, Chris, appliance is obviously absolute bloody minefield in here, so I don't expect you to solve it. But is it getting better? Are you finding that your relationships with those retailers are getting more satisfied by your answers?
Yeah, I think so. I think because just like picking up on what Neil said, there was online traders that dealt from their bedroom, and the only overhead they had was their kettle. We don't deal with people like that. We deal with bona fide online traders. And don't forget, the consumer's been educated differently now. They've got this desire to have something immediately. So whether that's because of Amazon or because of whatever. So there is a need, and we have to fulfill that, and we're conscious that we need to do that. So we'll trade with bona fide, decent online traders who have massive overheads with Google or whatever they do. But on top of that, it's not just about that a consumer can come into your showrooms and see something cheaper online. They can nip down the road and see something cheaper online. We're never going to stop people discounting. What we want to do is put a clear channel strategy in place. So the way that we go to market is we differentiate some of our products. So it is very difficult for an online trader to be able to compete with a bricks and mortar retailer, and vice versa. Look, it's here to stay. It's going to get massive. It's going to get bigger. We all shop online. It would be foolish if we didn't say we didn't. It's what we all do. We just need to embrace it, but also we need to put support in. And support for the retailers from a Glindimplex perspective is that you get a regular visit, you get trained, you get collateral, you can pull down advertising off our website. We will throw everything at it to make sure that you can close that deal, to stop that consumer walking out your showroom and trying to find it cheaper, whether it's down the road or online.
Craig, your provision of technology to help retailers capture some of that online market as well, aren't they? You've got various bits and bobs that you can design a kitchen very roughly online, and you can try and capture some consumer interest at that point of research, and you've got lots of bits and bobs that can help with that, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a big online presence with our software, and the first batch of software that went out there was very much design your own product. We've always seen the value of it connecting back to the designer, and the product we are launching recently comes back to the designer, because we believe strongly it's literally a full circle from starting on the web to coming to the designer. It's a little bit, you liken it to flying a plane. It can probably fly itself, but it's very reassuring to see a pilot sat there when you get on. And we believe the same thing. It's a full circle and service into the business. But you've got to have the interaction. And people do use it. They enjoy it. They play with it.
I mean, you've brought it up a little bit here, but let's go in a bit more on the consumer itself, because ultimately, none of this matters unless a consumer wants to buy a new sink, right? So what's Franke's view on how the consumer is changing, and how you're shaping your business around what it is they are looking for and where they start? Okay,
so I mean, I think consumers are now much more knowledgeable. They have access to wider sources of information. So certainly in terms of our sort of website provision, that has to be very consumer friendly, because typically a consumer will go into the studio and they know what they want. They've learned about it. They've read about it. They know the intricate details about a boiling water tap. So I think on the one side it's providing that information more clearly. I think on the other side, there's an expectation from consumers that if something goes wrong, that it gets sorted out immediately. I think it's another focus within the business is just looking at our after-sales provision. It's got to be faster, it's got to be better, because the expectation is there that if something happens, we're going to sort it, and we're going to sort it immediately.
I mean, Raffaela, what about you? You're a marketeer by trade. The bit that's really changed with consumers is there's an extra research stage at the front now, isn't there? They don't walk into the showroom as the start of their research. They've already done it before they even get there. So how are you and your brands utilising that?
The consumer is a mysterious creature. That's a fact. As a traditional B2B organisation, it is we still have a long way to go to truly understand how the consumer ticks. We have, however, experience since 2011, since we launched our end consumer campaign for the AquaClean range of products, where we really drill into the customer journey and trying to understand better what it is they want. And it does seem to me they want to engage, they want to experience the brand, which is something that's difficult to do when you sell toilets and bathrooms and bathtubs. But we encourage to create that multiplier effect. We work with hotels. We do product placements, or to encourage the consumer to try the product. And this is where the retail showrooms really come into their own. we still have a long way to go, and I think it also depends on what type of product the consumer is looking for. But certainly the fact that they're more savvy, more educated is helpful, because we can do a lot of work before the consumer enters the showroom to ensure they can then close the deal. Well, if they have the right tools, the right knowledge, they become competence partners basically for our brand, then it's a much more smooth experience for everyone involved, the manufacturer, the supplier, the retailer and the consumer.
There's a lot of work on what consumers look for or don't look for in terms of appliances in particular.
Yeah.
Well, how does that shape how you approach the market though?
On a range cooker, it's either about cosmetic or it's about functionality, and we talk to our consumers a lot, and we spend a lot of money with our consumers. We sponsor the Good Food Show every year through Stoves in Belling, and we have a massive amount of feedback from that. And we get a massive amount of feedback online as well. So that we do communicate with them a lot. It's very, very difficult to tweak or to change a mass production line, but I think at the end of the day, if it's the right price and it functions well, then we're virtually there with the consumer. But you are right, there are a weird bunch of individuals who want everything and demand everything immediately, and I think that's the biggest challenge we've got. Whether that's online or on the phone or in somebody's showroom, they just need that information immediately.
Craig, what do you think?
I think that's going to be the big change to the manufacturers. They're using our tools now, and the information that's on there is very rich, and we can see clearly where a consumer goes, how long they spend studying a page, and they're interested. And we can also see that how they use that information and to interact with when they design. And the more information that's on there from a manufacturer, the consumer feels more comfortable using it, and they will design with them products. It's a major part going forward, definitely. We've gone from, like I say, standalone computers. Our next development is all about cloud technology and the information coming from the manufacturers like yourself straight down. So when they click on that, they're getting live information. Obviously, when they're cooking, it'll ask them questions about how they cook. That's what they want. That's what the consumer expects to see today. And again, I used to liken it to a travel agents. You wouldn't go in a travel agents now to book a holiday. You'd want to start online and then maybe go in the travel agents. It's all about doing things together, interacting.
We'll round this off, I think, with big European, pan-European brand, pan-European person, but also pan-European brand. Proudly British manufacturer.
Owned by a European
family.
Yeah.
Who owns you these days?
San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Las Vegas.
So, obviously it's all about the referendum, EU referendum. There's an awful lot of, even today, about Boris and David and arguing about it. But what does it actually mean for this industry if we're in or out? So, Neil, what do you think? What's your... You don't have to tell me which way you're going to vote if you don't want to. But if it's out, what would the effect be?
I think if it's out, there are a number of impacts. Obviously, there's uncertainty, and nobody likes uncertainty. I think if that flows through to the consumer, then ultimately it could see things start to slow down. I also think that it would create some uncertainty within the construction sector. I think as a European brand, we're a Swiss company, and I guess you could look at the Swiss model, which sits outside the euro, and sometimes that's put forward as an ideal. It's actually hugely complicated, and it's taken years and years to get to a position where they can trade with other parts of Europe. Personally, and I think from a business perspective, we don't want to see it happen. I also think, as a proud Scotsman, that it would ultimately lead to the breakup of the UK, and I absolutely don't want that to happen. I don't think it will be a good thing for the industry in the short term, certainly. Okay,
that's an in. Raffaela, what about you?
I am totally in. I'm a German national of Italian descent. I lived in Italy, in Germany. I've lived in the UK for 12 years already. And the benefits to me are clear of being in the European Union, whether it's travelling, whether it's working in different countries and contributing to the economy of these countries. I believe in strength in numbers. I think to think of an exit strategy the way it is currently being done, with a lot of scaremongering, a lot of the migration issues and refugee issues are being cited as the key reasons, which is silly, to be fair. It is something that is approaching a very short-term way of thinking. definitely in. How it will affect businesses, we are a Swiss company as well. We already know even dealing with sending our products from Switzerland to other European countries isn't as straightforward as everyone makes it out. It is unknown what will happen, but the uncertainty will disrupt business, and that is my belief.
Would an out help British manufacturers though, Chris? I mean, there's a big factory up there in Prescott. I want to see manufacturing in the UK. I want to see people making things here. Would it not help?
Would it make a difference to us? I don't think it would. I think if you look at our parent company, they're very proud of what we do. They're investing even more into the factory and the plant and to our products this year. I think it's the whole uncertainty piece for us. The last thing we need now is to destabilise our market. We've just come out of a massive recession, and this is the last thing we need, really, because we can see some green shoots or some glimmer of a hope. And I think our concern is that if you do a straw poll of any consumer or any member of the public outside of this building, or even inside this building, do they actually know what it will mean to them? No, they don't. And I think that's the scary piece. We're a few weeks away from doing a referendum, and I don't really believe that people know what yes means and what no means. And I think there's going to be a bit of an
industry like this that relies so heavily on trading with Europe. I mean, that's basically Italians and Germans and Swiss. 90% of this industry, aren't they? What do you think, Craig? Because you obviously been in this industry a very long time, but obviously your parent company has got nothing to do with Europe, but you do trade across Europe.
Yeah, we have many offices across Europe, and we are a European company. We're a worldwide company, but we're also a major European company. And a big part of our business is following businesses across Europe. From our point of view, very positive to be in Europe. If we weren't in Europe, where would it leave us? From our point of view, we would literally be on the island. So we're passionate about staying in Europe, certainly working together with European. And a lot of the corporate accounts are pan-European. So it's very important to us, and manufacturers that are coming both ways, we need to go on board.
On that very comprehensive bombshell, I think we could probably we'll end it there. I think. Okay. So thank you very much to Neil, to Raffaela, to Chris, and to Craig. Thank you very much for kicking us all off. Thank you all of you for sitting all the way through it.